I'd like to call this October 28th, 2024 Central School Board meeting to order with all board members present. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to A4, approval of the agenda. Is there any changes? Anything from board members? I move to approve the agenda. I'll second that. Motion made by Lurkey, second by Ishins. Any other conversations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda passes. A5 consent agenda. Just a couple things to note. We added within the last hour or so, three people, Brian Clark, Jordan Voigt, and Wade Vanderlyn to the list. Theirs just came in. So we did add those to the consent agenda. Anything else, Mr. Schaffner? Anything from board members?
Do we need to have what their description is, open care?
If you want, I can add it.
I'm fine with it.
These are all winter athletics coaches.
Yep.
It's indicated on their sheet. Yeah. If you'd like to go through it, right?
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Erickson, second by Cradles. Any other conversations? All right, all those in favor, saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Consent agenda passes. If you have an owl.
Nope, I'm good.
Snafu? Okay. We'll move on to A6, acceptance of gifts. There's quite a few gifts on here. Saying $217.50 from St. John's for the Raider Room, $2,500 from Cologne Fire Relief Association for volleyball equipment, $2,000 from Laura Van Isles Scholarship, $500 from Minnesota Valley Electric Backpack Program, $2,884.50, two donations from the Central Girls Basketball Boosters and the Central Boys Basketball Boosters, both for shooting machines. $1,000 from NYA Lions for Citizen Awards for Students, $400 from NYA Lions for Title I Night, and $400 from the NYA Lions for Family Literacy Night. And then we had a donation of a flute from Music Mark, is that correct? And Jupiter Clarinet, and that was an anonymous donor. Thank you to everybody for your generous donations. Any conversations or questions from board members?
Move to approve gifts.
Second. Motion made by Smith, second by Probox. Any other conversations? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Gifts approved. Public forum. No, these are all okay. We'll move on to C. Informational items, monthly reports. We'll start with the student council. Welcome.
Looks like it's just me, but that's okay. So starting off with homecoming week, it was a big success. Our dress-up days, the parade, pep fest, everything went well. Everyone really enjoyed it. The senior rock we had out front, it did not get painted last year, but this year we are working on it. Right now, Kerwin has a base coat, and we will be working on it more this fall. And then in the spring, we will have all this new pamphlets on it for truffle retreats for Lorax. And then a thank you to Mr. Messick for helping us strip the previous paint off the rock, and to Mr. Rogie for helping painting the basement. And then the blood drive, we had 15 first-time donors, which was super awesome. And we collected a total of 41 pints of blood. So overall, we met our goals. We're super happy with that. Coming up, the seniors will be talking to the kindergartners about school spirit and kind of just hope for their future here at Central. Just giving any advice they need, things like that. And then another project we will be doing is on the wall here at school. We will be putting a Thanksgiving apple tree where students can write on sticky notes what they're thankful for, and those will be the apples on the tree.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from board members? Thank you for all your hard work. And the time you guys put in. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. We'll move on to C2, student representative report.
All right, well, board members, I'd like to introduce Caitlin Hoyer to you. Caitlin is a junior at Central High, and she will be taking over for Jackson as our student representative. Everyone be nice to Caitlin. I met with her for, I don't know, how long, we met for about a half an hour the other day and just kind of talked about what her role was and just how it all worked. And so don't put Caitlin on the spot tonight, but Caitlin, can you just, why did you want to be the student rep?
I think it would be fun to like be a part of like the background of Central and I don't know, more opportunities. Yeah, should be good.
Excited to have
Yeah,
you.
excited.
Yeah.
For being here.
Yeah.
And over here, we have Jackson. He just couldn't get enough of us. He came back and so Caitlin, this is a glimpse into your future right here. Jackson, yep, so Jackson was our student representative for a year and like every year, we present our student representative with a plaque of thanks and gratitude, and that's going to be presented by Chair Ashens. There you go.
Well, we did get a chance to steal our photo before you guys all came here, so we thought we would steal a photo. Chris, so Jackson and I took a photo, but Jackson, I want to thank you for your time with us on the board. We really appreciated and valued your input and just your dedication to being here and being a voice for the students here. And I hope you learned something about civic duty and you enjoyed your time with us and you consider doing this in the future. So you'd be a great rep in the future. We'll be with you. So congratulations and thank you for everything. When the MSBA scholarship comes out, let us know and I will write you something. So
All right, let's give Jackson a round of applause.
thanks, Jackson.
Do you want to say anything, or are you just gonna?
Thank you.
Yeah,
There you
go. He's out of here. Thank you, Jackson.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to C3, superintendent report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just some things that I have been up to the last month. So probably about a month ago or so, I had the fall superintendent's yearly convention, I guess, convention or whatever, up north, and had a lot of learning. Actually, some of the learning that I had there, I'm bringing to you tonight around board orientation. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that later on in the day or the evening here. On Friday, I was at SAF, which stands for Schools Advocating for Fair Funding. So basically, it's a group of 84 school districts that have formed a partnership to advocate at the legislature for fair funding formulas for schools. So we are what our organization would call a commercially poor district, meaning we don't have a lot of commercial property like I'm gonna pick on a district, but if we had a Rosedale Mall, that affects the tax base of our entire district. And so basically what ends up happening is we can pass levies when we have equalization or aid that comes from the state. It comes to us at a different rate. So if we pass the exact same bond or the exact same levy in a different town based on the funding formulas, it actually costs our taxpayers less if the funding formulas were equalized. So we set our lobbying agenda for this coming legislative session, and we are looking at lobbying legislators to have fair equalization for our district and others across the state. So that's some of the work that we're doing legislatively. Finally, we are entering, or we have entered the punch list phase of construction. We're just kind of working through that. When I met with Chair Ashens, she had asked what the prospective timeline of the punch list phase could be. And I'm hearing from Nexus, this could be a January, February timeline, and maybe even a little bit farther than that. But just one example is just this last week, there was a crack in one of the underground rainwater drain pipes, and the company showed up and they dug into our back parking lot, the day before our section football game, and it just, so there's going to be some things like that, but but just know that those things are being addressed and we're moving forward. So that's good news. That's all I have for superintendent's report. There's any questions?
I have a question. I feel bad being inside. Penny, last month we were here, they did a conversation about the high school of the future. Did you guys do that?
Yep, so we did, so we've had two,
Discussion.
yeah, thank you. I probably
Is
should
that-
have.
is that okay,
Yeah,
Matt?
no, that is absolutely okay. So, I've been part of two groups so far. We've met with a teachers group, a small teachers group and admin group, facilitated by Daniel Rubin, who's a retired superintendent in the state of Minnesota. And then, we met, it was part of it, we met on, I think Thursday of last week. We met for an hour and a half in our first meeting, and so we have some of our baseline data now, and now we're setting some other meetings. So I'm just gonna say we are in process. I don't want to necessarily give it away right now, but we are in process. All right?
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Superintendent Schaffner? From board members? Okay, we'll move on to C4, board reports. Does anybody got anything?
Okay.
Jump in then. Thank you.
Finance committee, the monthly slide deck is attached. Nothing unusual for the first 3 months of the year. Everything pretty much is following in line as expected to the budget. Just a quick update there. We are wrapping up the audit this month or very, very soon, I believe. So we would expect to have an audit report at the November meeting.
I will point out two things on the finance presentation. I did, a month early put in, because typically we report a month back. And so I did put in, and thank you, Mr. Larson, for having that up. I did put in our enrollment, our initial enrollment, for the year is really good news. So the gray bar graph was our enrollment from last year. The maroon bar graph is our enrollment this year. The yellow line is what we built our budget on. So we are looking really good right now, quite honestly. And you can see from September, October, we did lose, what was it, probably 4 students that started with us or we thought they were going to be with us, and then they told us that they were somewhere else between that. So things are looking better than they have in quite a few years in terms of enrollment. So it's good.
Are you seeing the growth that elementary more, or is it just all over the place?
It's all over the place. I have a document that we track every single, Kelly Perlin tracks every single enrollee in and enrollee out. So we actually have, I'm gonna say, I'm looking at Rich over there. I don't know if you've did you look at our enrollment coming in? Was it 77, 76? There were 76 new kids. I want to say 76 new students, but then we had 35 students that enrolled out that were here. So we have something in the neighborhood. We have more than 70 new faces at Central this year. So, and I can, if you want to break down my grade, I can get that, because I have that data very easily accessible.
So in the yellow line, that would have been obviously what you budgeted at, and then the gray would have been, so that increase would have been probably, so that just from the green aisle thing too, right?
We gained 17 students from there.
Okay.
Mhm. And some of those would have been elementary, and some of those would have also been 6th or 7th grade. Mhm.
Did Green Island Charter School only go to 6th
Yes.
grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just my point of saying that, Sarah, some of them are enrolled in the middle school, not in the
Right.
elementary school.
Great, got it.
It is.
Any other questions related to the finance report? Any other board? Shelby, Josh, and I did on the 10th sit down with Superintendent Schaffner and start talking about contract negotiations for the 25 through 28. That's right, school years. So potentially hoping to have something back at the November meeting for consideration.
All right. D, discussion items. D1, Raider Rally recap. Tricia McIntoon, come on up.
Tricia McIntoon, the president of the Central Booster Club, and just wanted to quick give you guys a report back on what we've been up to and how the Raider Rally went this year, the first ever. So the Raider Rally was held the first Saturday of October, and we had about 240 attendees. This also included our Hall of Fame inductees in that program that the Alumni Association started, and there were 12 inductees for the Hall of Fame. It was a great event, tons of great silent auction items, live auction items. I think everyone had a great time. It was very well received. I've received a ton of thank yous and just like, that was really cool. Glad you guys started that. In general, we probably raised $28,000 for the Booster Club in one night.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. For that hard work to pay off because it was a lot of work to put together, but we're excited to be able to broaden like or expand kind of more than just athletics, even though we've always been more than just athletics for our Booster Club, but we kind of just always look like, for sports and stuff. But we really want people to know that we're there for the drama club, the music club, the elementary students. Like if there's things and needs that anywhere in the district, that's needed. We really hope that people start coming to us more for those things. And there's, donation forms and stuff that teachers and coaches and stuff have, and Mr. Clay has those to give out as well. So yeah, we're really hoping to kind of spread some of that well-earned money to other groups than just like purely athletics alone. And so and we've done a lot of just different donation things to the elementary school already this fall, just with some of their awards, and to their student council, they've asked for some donations. So it's been, that whole Raider Rally's been kind of a nice little vehicle to help us with more things. We've always done great just with the concessions and apparel sales anyway, but so this kind of just gives us one more avenue to help wherever it's needed. And I think within the last year, we've probably given over $20,000 to just different programs at Central. So we're pretty proud of that.
Any future plans for future Raider Rally?
Yes. So if you missed it, our next Raider Rally is the first Saturday of October. That's kind of what we're hoping to always keep it. So people get into their head like, that's the Raider Rally. So I think that's October 4th next year. And it will be held in Hamburg at the Hamburg Hall. So yeah, mark your calendars now already. So it should be good.
Tricia, how has the sideline store been going?
The online apparel
Yeah.
store. It's been going okay. We don't get as much of a kickback from BSN than we would if we sold apparel through in person.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to hold all that inventory. So we're kind of dwindling back our options that we have in person just to more basic t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, things like that. And then anything varies, if you want a blanket or you want a tumbler or you want something that says, girls hockey, or whatever it is now that we have that option, you can order all the specific things through the BSN store. So we don't get as much back doing it that way. But we realized, I think, in the last couple of years that we were sitting on a lot of inventory that is money tied up that doesn't need to be. So we made that change.
And I will say, out of that $28,000, we did school directly auction 2 24-hour parking spots in the back. Tricia has already signed the purchase order for the signs.
They're here.
Or are they? They're here. They're gonna
Waiting
be up.
to be installed.
We're gonna
Yeah.
install them. Okay, if you were there, don't guess. But any guesses on how much those 2 24-hour parking spots went for each? Don't say God.
Someone got
You told me already, so.
$1,500.
I was gonna say 2,000.
Yeah, $1,500 each. So
I think that's been
three-
about
I did. I about had a coordinator there. I was like, what is going on here? I almost did. I figured that might be.
Yeah, so it was nice, because we had one that, you know, Tim and I had chatted, and there was one like we were auctioning off, and like, if this goes
Yeah.
some decent change, be ready to throw a second one out there, and he's like, well, we'll do another one. So it was great, it was great. So yeah, it's fun to, you know, some people love auctions and they just really wanted to win.
Yep.
So yeah, those two signs,
It is. Yeah.
those two signs will be going up, they both kind of gave them the option of if they wanted both front or back field house, and they both chose field house entrance, so. And they both were, one's getting split, but you know, two grandmas that want a great spot to park when it's in the winter and come and
That's
see their kids
awesome.
play, so
That's
yes.
awesome.
Mhm.
It is. It's perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions?
Great job with it. Really cool. I was there, with the Hall of Fame at school. Every one of the people that were inducted, they were all there. You know, so that was really cool to hear the stories, and I think that brings a lot to it, really ties the community together, so.
Yeah, it was really great, and, I think too, like, it's great if some of those we can give them back to speak to the students. You know, like, their stories go deep, you know, in essentially, you know, like Central Athletics, or if it was, you know, Ed Brown's family was there, and it was really important for them to be there, and, but yeah, just hearing their stories and like how the coaches growing up really affected their lives from then on till now. Really cool to hear, and like I think it'd be great for students to hear that too. So maybe come up here too.
Oh, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
And next Saturday, first Saturday of October.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll log in.
Thanks, Trisha.
Thank you.
How do you get back there, Rich?
D2 Community Ed Student Services Elementary and Secondary Building Goals.
Yeah, no. You go up and hit return to meeting, way up top, or, yellow, upper right. Yeah. Now go down. Thank you. Yep, no. Keep going, right there.
One more.
There we go. All right, click on the presentation there. There we go.
Stand on your head. Rub your stomach.
All right. Hello, everybody. Sue Forster, Community Education Director. For those of you that don't know me, but I think everybody does. Thank you for having me come tonight and give a little presentation. Community education is off and running for the fall. Here we wrapped up summer. It was a very busy summer at Kids Co. and baseball was busy. And now for the fall season, we've been doing soccer and volleyball, and now we're gearing up for basketball. Then we have a new staff member, Reed Stacken, is now our recreation, youth, and facility specialist. And he's doing an awesome job and being well received, I think, and understands sports very well and enjoys working with people around that. So excited about Reed. Our goals for the year, let's get down to business. The first goal is that this fiscal year, I'll develop a comprehensive marketing plan for Central Community Education programs that targets local residents, improves outreach to underserved groups, and highlights available courses, which will result in a 15% increase in enrollments and a 20% increase in website traffic and social media engagements. So, you know, the actions around that are, I need to collaborate with my stakeholders. So we have leadership meetings and we'll sit together and collaborate to develop plans about how to roll these things out. And then also with our community members, we've had an advisory council meeting here on November 18th. And so that's a time where I'll like to gather more information from our community and also thinking about hosting some focus groups. I think it would be a good time to do that after being here a year and some of the changes that we've had to implement of just hearing from the community a little bit more. And then of course, allocate resources, assign roles for outreach, content creation and data tracking, and execute with time-bound touch points. So that's my first goal here. And the second goal is around our pyramid model. That is our social emotional framework for preschool children. And it's a comprehensive, robust program that is developed through the Minnesota Centers of Excellence, which is now BrightWorks. And so we're collaborating with them on this, and it's really good for our students, and it's really good for our staff. So that's an important goal for us. So by the end of the fiscal year of 24-25, our preschool program teachers will implement pyramid model and be assessed using this teaching practice observation tool. It's called a TPOT. We have internal coaches that have been trained and will go out and be in our classroom and make sure that best practices are in place with our teachers, which will result in good classroom etiquette for our students and learning for our students. And we'd like to see an increase in 2 areas of that TPOT from fall to spring. So the actions for that is that our teachers have to complete their 3 tiers of training. They'll have their final tier of training here on November 4th. And then those TPOTs will have to be delivered once in the fall and once in the spring. Our internal coaches have now gone through training last week. It's pretty intensive. It's two days, and they have to take a test to reach fidelity in their rating of that whole process. And so they both passed, and it'll be great. They'll be able to get in the rooms and do that. And then, of course, the teachers will participate in coaching cycles twice a month. So our internal coaches will be in those classrooms twice a month, following up on, goals that they're, deciding together, and as they have these coaching sessions. And then there will be an observation, and there'll be a review of that. So I'm so excited because it's a very robust program with lots of support for our teachers to be able to make an impact in our preschool classrooms. And of course, our success will be measured by those improvements in the TPOT scores. So, do you have any questions for me around those 2 things?
So I want some clarification,
Yeah.
just to expand on one thing. So not only the pyramid model, but some of the work you're doing around maybe some literacy assessments. You have a hope maybe for next year, the state of Minnesota opened up some applications for VPK. Can you talk about that? I know it's not exactly related to this, but can you just touch on that just
Sure.
briefly?
So VPK is called Voluntary Pre-Kindergarten, and it is a state-run program where school districts can apply for some additional funding, and it's like an ADM, like you would get for your K through 12th grade kiddos, and it's 60% of your kindergarten enrollment ADM. And so it's based also on free and reduced lunches and also your mixed delivery plans that you have at your school. And you need to have accredited or evidence-based curriculum and also assessments. So we're working really hard to get that curriculum in place for next year so that we have all the things we need to be able to get a yes from the state for some seats for us here at VPK. And so that funding would help us tremendously, and our parents tremendously too. So really looking forward to seeing how that goes for us. But this is really for 4-year-olds only. So it's that year before kindergarten of trying to have children have no barriers to opportunities to be in preschool. And so, it's for the 4s, and hoping to be able to get those seats so we can get a few more children and join our program. Yeah. Anything else, anybody?
I have a quick question. It might be more of a question for you. We implement PBIS at the elementary and other levels also. More than just.
We are not, I would say we do elements of PBIS. We are not like a PBIS school, though, like through there's a consortium with MD. I would say all of the things that Sue, Ron, and Rich do in terms of recognizing students, recognizing their behavior, having the students of the month, and what do we call them at the elementary school? Mr. Urban Market, not just AAA, but this, like the character, like it just like the isn't there a character piece? The character traits, those are all elements of PBIS, but not.
Just like nature dovetails.
Yeah, it does dovetail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Pyramid Models baby PBIS.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Two, one thing,
Yeah.
community, obviously we got the craft fair, any update of
Oh.
how, sorry for this, Bob, or
Yeah, that's a big one, right? We
Yeah.
have our craft fair coming up on November 23rd. It's here, and in this year, it is not gonna be at the elementary school and at the high school. It's going to be all here at the high school with the field house being complete. It makes a nice venue for us to keep everybody under one roof, and it also helps with our workers of not having to have two different sets of workers at each place. And hopefully just, the flow for the community is improved, through having it all under one roof. We have an abundant amount of vendors coming in. We were like down by maybe 20, and now I think we're only down by like 15 from last year. So when you make a change, sometimes people are not always so sure about how it is, but I think putting it on social media and all of a sudden this weekend, they were texting me all the time, like, hey, I still want to come to the craft show. So we're super excited. We have a lot of vendors. It'll be great. Join us on the 23rd from 9 to 3.
and the flooring, that's getting.
Yeah, so Reed, the facility specialist was meeting with Cody today to finalize how are we going to make that floor safe for tables and chairs, because the field house floor has a little difference. And so I didn't get a report yet back about it, but I know that we have some plans in place for how we can make that work.
And we're also gonna have to figure out for the water for and after school. So when you have people coming in before school and you have salt and wet shoes or whatever, if you're doing anything, what's the protocol? I guess not food, but just make you think of it. When it's bad outside and people are all coming in,
Yeah.
dragging salt all, getting the floor all wet before we have first hour class. So
That's a good point, Josh, and I've been wondering about that myself, even of like, when you come into a gym, you still have to change your shoes and like that's gonna be for the speaker, not instead of bring a set of shoes for the gym to put on before you. Or the field house.
To piggyback on that, have we gotten anywhere with developing like a community calendar that? I don't know, yeah, 2 months ago.
We're not any further on that right now.
So I will tell you, in the LEO program, there is an iCalendar where anybody who's entered any of their, like we enter all the athletic events that are going on in community ed. I don't think we've taken everything that's going on in the school district as far as the Minnesota State High School League things, but if you're interested in anything beyond that, in LEO, our registration program, there's something that iCalendar under, so you could see it.
We move on to Ron, Central Elementary.
Something interesting, if you heard the Van Isle Scholarship, she was my second grade teacher. 50 years ago today, I was probably sitting in the corner of her room. 50 years. Can you go to the next slide for me, Richard? Okay, the goal we have, you can read, I don't think you need me to read that to you, right? Go from 57 to 65. Essentially, in fluency, there's 3 different components. Automaticity is the one we're going to be focusing on, and we got this data from Fastbridge the last 2 years, and Andrew and I have been noticing the one area in reading fluency that we haven't been meeting targets, automaticity. And essentially what automaticity means is sight words, words that you can, that you know without having to sound those out. So if you're talking about when you first started reading, you were sounding words out, that's great for kids to do. But obviously, if you're using all your muscle to sound words out, you don't have any ability to comprehend what you're reading. Our accuracy is very high, so we're happy with that, and phrasing is fine. I think the next step for us is focusing on that automaticity, which allows kids to read unencumbered by sounding out words. Does that make sense? And yeah, you can go to the next one. So the data is from Fastbridge. I I think the two things that I think will be the most important are the bottom three. Goal setting and weekly discussions in our PLCs. And we have someone from MDE coming in who will be visiting those PLCs to make sure that things Andrea and I are seeing are in fact what is best practice and what we believe will be the most effective. And an accountability piece for me is number 4. Andrea and I are having every other week conversations and check-ins to individual teachers. So they'll be doing fluency tests with kids throughout the year. And I'll be able to monitor that and make sure that we're moving in a progression that we want to move. And then sometimes we might not be with individual kids for sure. And then it will be our job to come up with a different intervention or a different plan to help make sure we move that student, in a way that automaticity is easy for them and they can concentrate on comprehension.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Secondary building goals?
Yeah, Mr. Larson, welcome.
Thanks, so starting with our secondary guiding document, this is something that we built this summer, which guides all of our work, especially as an instructional leadership team. You can look at that if you'd like, but that's something that I'm committed to keeping in front of us. For our math goal, you can see our baseline, CMS and CHS, all baseline. One thing that I randomly did, I accidentally opened our goals from my first fall, 2022. And I just want to say that the CHS baseline that year was 56. This year, 71, which I think is a big tribute to what the middle school has been doing and the high school has been doing. Because I pulled it up and I was like, 56. So that's good, yeah. And then, so you can see the action steps there. Building thinking classes, we had our math teachers had a chance to go to this great conference. They're implementing something new. I can chat with you about that individually if you're interested. Our PLC standards work, we're really trying to continue to make sure that all the standards are being covered in all of our classrooms. And so our PD day coming up, we're going to be mapping out the year and then making unit plans to make sure we're assessing the standards and just trying to really stay tight to those and keep them rigorous. We have a new math support model, trying to address, give intensive support to any kid who has gotten or is getting an F. We're trying to make no Fs in math. And if we are standard oriented, then no Fs in math would mean that our achievement will go up on these tests because that's what the tests are covering. So going on to reading. Again, we're going to be going up by 3%. Those are both fall FastBridge tests. And reading, CHS was 64 my first in 2022. So, and in the middle school, both of those were right around the same. But I was really proud to see those go up. You go to the next one, our action steps here. That same work with PLCs. They are identifying the standards and ensuring that they're getting hit in all their classes, study sake, curriculum is being adopted. Our MTSS team, we have reading intervention happening across our building. I've actually been helping with progress monitoring this year, the kids who are getting the tier 2 support, which has been really fun because we've had 2 rounds and we're actually able to see the kids start to progress in their fluency and comprehension. So that's been fun. And again, we are working to have cross-curricular literacy strategies shared so that reading is happening in all classrooms and literacy is being built. So finally, our culture and climate goal, we have a similar survey that we give 3 times a year, trying to really make sure that every kid is known. And we added the caveat in this one that an adult has made an attempt to connect with me. And for those this year who said no, there's someone that they know or that they could go through the serious problem. There's a follow-up question that says, is there someone in your life? And we've been really intense with the ones who, we only had 4 kids who said there's not an adult either at school or in their life. So we can go through and we've been really working hard to connect with those kids. But our baseline data there, you can see for this one in the building is 88.1. In 2022, that number was 77.7. So it's 11% increase overall for our baseline. And we're gonna have it, go up, hopefully by 3%. You go to the action steps. So the big ones that we share, who isn't connected to someone at school, and our grade level PLC split up, who's got this kid, who's got this kid. Trying to get really clear expectations to students. We had our high school monthly assembly today. I ran Jeopardy with them and I crashed and burned. Oh man. One kid was like, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think you understand how Jeopardy goes. And then they have one of the answers of one of my questions wrong in the PALC. They help make them. So they're calling me out. That's not the correct answer. Go back to class. But we're trying to celebrate. We're trying to celebrate kids, and students nominate teachers, which is so sweet to see. One of our new teachers, Mr. DeBoer, was nominated and celebrated today. That was really fun. So those are kind of quickly through our goals and our action steps. What questions might you have?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think that some of the work that you're doing, and maybe the reason we're doing it is because there's been studies done, but if not, this needs to be like the culture and the looking out for these kids, like that needs to be published and like toot our horns a little bit about that. Cause that's, I mean, to hear you say that, I was like, ugh, I almost started crying because it's just so sad to know that there's kids in our district that don't have anybody, and making that difference in their lives is just amazing. So kudos to your
I think
team.
it's our team. Our teachers are just phenomenal. I think all of our staff is not lucky. The thing I would like to say too is I think this really helps them with their learning, but I think in my opinion, it's the best thing that we can do for school safety.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Like this is the proactive thing that I wanna. We try to catch that when the kids are hurt before.
Yeah, 100%. Central special education goals.
Welcome back.
All right, so we have two goals again this year. Last year we were focusing more in like moving them from red, to yellow, or yellow to green. And just based on, you know, where our students perform and what we know about their struggles, we decided to look at growth. So we want each of our individual kids in that are receiving services to make growth on fall to spring. So last year, you know, you can have all these programs and they all have their little glitches in them. So I get to spend a lot of time just writing out every kid's name and writing out every score that they have and then computing in the spring. I do like doing it though, because it's you get to see each kid and see where they're at and how they progress. So last year, our students in special ed that were receiving services from fall to spring made growth. 67% of them made growth, second grade through 11th grade. So I want to increase that as our SPED department by 3%. So looking at 70% growth. So action steps. All of our special ed teachers are using FastBridge to progress monitor. In the lower grades, they might be doing like nonsense words, so they're working on those, putting the sounds together, and or then they're working on oral reading fluency. Unless they're more efficient with that, then they're also incorporating comprehension. So kind of those steps. They're meeting MPLCs, making sure we're analyzing the data to see if this kid's not making progress, what do we need to do. We're using Sunday, and I know confidently that in the middle school, for sure, they are now using it. And they're using Radar Time also as a double dip. So this year, some of our staff are going into the classroom to do some team teaching. And then also having an option to have some double dipping during Radar Time for those that need a little bit more intensive work in reading skills. And then we're collaborating and just knowing the standards and making sure, you know, 6th grade might have a standard, our kids might not be there yet. So how do I task analyze that to figure out how do I get them closer to that standard? So using those and knowing the standards. So we're not just shooting in the dark of what we're teaching the kids, but it's focused on standards. And then in the area of math,
again, looking at that growth. So surprisingly, they both were at 67% last year. I know, when Andrew and I were looking at it, I'm like, this is weird. But from last year's data, it was 67% growth from fall to spring. So increasing that by 100% for 70% accuracy or joint growth. So again, we've learned a lot with Fastbridge this year actually as our MTSS team, and there's some new things that we can use. So getting the teachers in their hands so they can use that progress monitoring to see is the intervention working, what I'm doing. And then we were lucky enough to get 2 new resources this year. We got one for middle school that's called TransMath. And from all the things we've heard, schools that have implemented it, the kids by the time they're ready for 9th grade have been in the gen ed algebra class and have the skill set. I was in a classroom doing an observation, and it aligned with things that we're teaching at the elementary school, like strategies that we're using to teach addition facts. And so that was nice to see that it's aligning and they're using similar language. It seems really, really good. So again, they have a direction to go. It's on the standards. So, but working at a pace where our kids can be successful as well. And then at the elementary level, they have Bridges intervention. So they've been trained. They are starting to adapt and they're starting to use pieces of it. Kind of the goal is by December to be fully implementing it and using it. Not excuses, but they're at 26 to 28 on a caseload. So it's a little, and Julie Giesinger has been a blessing for us. She's been very flexible and helping support, but it's been kind of a lofty start to the year with how many kids we have in program. And so they're doing the best they can. They have a great attitude. I see smiles all the time and it's great to see, but they're working on that Bridges intervention and getting that up and running in the classrooms. So those are my 2 goals for our department. Questions?
I feel like I have to say it after you said, we have one on-field position in terms of staffing. We have an on-field position that
Yes.
we're looking to reduce our caseloads, but.
Yes, we're looking. So if you know anyone that.
Yes. That's our shameless plug.
Let us know.
Yes. Yeah. We're not optimistic.
And I mean, the preschool's growing, our nursery, I think, is climbing to 28. I mean, it's just, there's a need and we're doing the best we can to address all the needs that are out there, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you.
Thank you, directors and principals. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
that.
you.
B3, 2023-24 vision card results.
Okay, so if we pull up the vision card here, so this is our agreed upon look fors for the district. The board develops this, and I'm just going to go through and explain this. So looking at K readiness level, I'm on the far left column where it says measure. So we're going to be looking at K readiness level, K3 reading growth, K8 reading growth, 9 through 12 graduation attainment, market share of students living in the district, total district revenue, parent and staff support, third through 11th grade MCA math levels, and 8th grade science level based on the MCA. So before I go through this, I want you, I wonder if you heard a theme from our principals and directors that we're using Fastbridge to progress monitor and to kind of give putting our toe in dipping to see if our progress monitoring is a leading indicator to what is going into what is going to happen with MCAs. And unfortunately, the leading indicator from our Fastbridge data does not match our MCA results, like not even close. So I just off the top of my head, because Rich probably went home to us, but his baseline data right now at the high school is 71% in math and 74% in reading. Did I get that right? Pretty close enough. 73. That would tell us that when Caitlin takes the MCA and all of her friends, that 3 out of 4 of them should be passing the MCA in that. And I'm just going to our number 8 indicator right now. we are at 53% of our kids passing. So, you don't hear me say this very often, like we are struggling internally, with the leadership team of like, what do we need to do different? Which assessments are the ones that matter? Which one should we be looking at? I think the unfortunate piece about MCA is it gets printed in the Star Tribune every year. But I would say our kids in math have very high rigor, and the ones that are, and we have 100% graduation rate. It's not like teachers are over. One thing I can guarantee is teachers are not over grades. I'll tell you that, like nobody. It's just, so we're just struggling with some of that data right now, just so you know. So I'm gonna go through this. So our IGD level is at 70 to 75%. K3 reading growth, we are at 65 to 75%. So last year was yellow, this year is green. So if there's not a change, it stayed the same. So we actually went up and made in our level 4 of our K3 reading levels in terms of as measured by FastBridge. K8 reading growth, we're in the 80 to 90% students meeting or exceeding that growth level. 9 to 12. So yes, go ahead.
Are those based off of the
FastBridge, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so those two are, okay.
Yep, and so grades 9 through 12 graduation, being on track for graduating. Remember last year, we're very proud that we had 100% of our class graduating. That stayed the same. Market share of students living in the district, we are still in the intervention required. Our market share of students living in the district was, I think, 64% is our capture rate, and that has gone up this year. You know, we I think I texted all of you when that came up, that has gone up, and our
That's the first year in a while.
first year in 5 years that's gone up. So
It went up to 64.
yeah, I think our low point was 59 the time that I've been here. So again, we are using every strategy possible to try and capture market share of students in our district. Total district revenue, we actually dropped a little bit. We moved conferences. We have a new set of data of who we're looking at, and but we still are in level 4 there. Parent staff support, based on our parent survey given at the end of last year, we are at 90%, and we talked about that at the May board meeting, if you recall. Third through 11th grade MCA levels. So this is not FastBridge. This is MCA levels. We actually dropped down to 53%, like I said, for MCA math levels and our 8th grade science level. So I do want to give a little like public service announcement. Our 8th grade is the only place where we can measure science. And that is like the culmination of science instruction through 8th grades. Because I don't want pressure given on those 8th grade teachers, but so based on this data, this is why we implemented STEAM, why we did STEAM at the elementary level. And I think that is at 47%.
Remind me, how many years have we been doing the science MCA? It hasn't been a ton. has
No,
it?
we added this by third. So our initial vision card was 1 through 7, and then we added 8 and 9.
When we add reading and CA, I don't remember.
Because at the time, when we did that, we were looking for growth. The recommendation is to look at growth, because I think the idea is you could have a kid that's, in my opinion, that's passing at 20%. Well, if that kid goes to 30%, that's 50% growth. But I'm proud, even though they have not yet attained, I'm very proud of that. And I don't know about you, but if I had 50% growth on my 401k every year, I don't guess, right? So, I think we're trying to meet students where they're at, is kind of the thought process behind that. We could very well, I'd want to have a board discussion on that, but I think, in my opinion, I like looking at growth, because that calls to this, that moving your top performers, you have your top performers grow, have your bottom performers grow. Does that make sense?
And are the MCA test results, if people opt out, are they considered a zero?
A fail.
A fail. So do we have a lot of opt-outs?
We have not dropped below the standard. We have less than 5% that
Okay.
opt out, but, are you okay if I just kind of talk about this a little bit? So, I mean, Rich and I have talked, Mr. Larson and I have talked about this a lot, specifically at the high school and middle school. It's not as much as with the high school. So we're seeing that students aren't necessarily invested. I would love your input on this, honestly, are not as invested in the MCA test. So at the elementary, we're breaking it up into like three sessions. Cause it's like, it is a 2 to 3 hour test. The fast bridge is like a 20 to 30 minute test. We've seen a trend at high school where some students are done in 10 minutes on a 2 hour test. Cause, well, I'm not gonna give a value statement. We are asking, why are you taking 10 minutes? But those are the same students. Their score counts in this just as much as the student that takes 2 hours. I know Rich has put together some goals for a student body in terms of attempting and trying hard, and in terms of proficiency, reading proficiency too, Mr. Larson. Proficiency and
We're gonna focus on growth
growth and
engagement.
effort.
Yeah, we're gonna really try to have everybody take it and not get those opt-outs.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to be pretty transparent with, here's where we're at,
Mhm.
here's where our neighbors are at.
Yeah.
Here are some goals that if everybody takes it, if so many people improve, here's how we're gonna celebrate people.
And let's, I would say sophomores and juniors are overly focused on ACT.
Is there a benefit to utilizing ACT data in any way?
Well, that not every student takes it either. I think that is optional. So I feel like I'm making excuses and I don't want to, that's not the vibe I'm trying to give off at all. But for the first time, we are questioning our own data. Like, why is it that we have this many kids passing and meeting or exceeding or aren't in intervention? I mean,
So that's the question about, say, the fast bridge. So do students take the fast bridge a little more seriously because that puts them into intervention? Potentially?
Maybe, or just because it's less questions, you're more likely to.
The time
focus
has
on
to
a
be
shorter
so much
test.
better. But I don't know if maybe they take that one a little bit more seriously because otherwise they could be put into an intervention group.
There is some negative reinforcement to that.
Tim, has opting out of the MCA always been a thing? Really?
So if you have more than 5% of your school opt out of the MCA, like you get dinged from the Minnesota Department of Ed. You have to have 90, in order for it to be valid, you have to have 99% of your students participate. And there are schools that have, I can think of one school that has like 10% of their students take the test because it's not a value of the school.
I just wanted to ask, I can't remember it when I was in school, but yeah, okay.
It's not something we advertise.
Oh, that's
Because
probably why I
because we
didn't know,
don't,
yeah.
we don't necessarily, like that has negative repercussions on us as a district if we have people opting out.
It's not necessarily, it's best for the community.
No.
Yeah, I'm not just, so, and maybe if, we do this every October. And maybe this is something you want to think about. If you want us to look at what other data points could be, we could do that.
I reached out to you, I don't remember what it was about adding something in here to do with their GPAs or something, I don't know.
So we could do that. I think GPA would also probably translate to being on track to graduate. Too,
Sure.
which we're already measuring here, but maybe not. I guess I'm open to anything. I'm also trying to paint because I am extremely proud.
Year of data in there?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not prepared to put out recommendations right now, but I do want our district shown in a good light, and I see what's happening.
So that that's reflective of what you're seeing.
Agreed.
I don't think you're alone, though, because we just talked about this month with
Mhm.
the intermediate district,
Yep.
that it's just like questioning the data, that it's not showing what the kids really are learning.
So to pass the MCA, you need to be at the 60th percentile, which isn't average, I will just state. So,
Is there any talk on a larger level
Right.
of the state that's
The validity of
like comparing?
I will, here's what I know. We've talked, I've been part of superintendent groups that have talked about it. Doing away with the MCA has actually been talked about, but it can't be nothing. There has to be something there. Like no accountability is just not good for anyone.
They
But-
want that data, they want some
They
data.
want some data, something. But I would argue, like I said, the leading data, through our progress monitoring and FastBridge is probably more important because, I mean, like for example, this morning, our MTSS teams were meeting, our counselor, Becca, Andrea, the principals, they were all meeting this morning and they're reshuffling intervention groups for kids. Like they use that data to react to kids, which is what it should be done. And I would argue the MCA, I don't mean to include when I say this, it's kind of like an autopsy. You know, it's like the FastBridge is preventative maintenance, brushing your teeth, and MCA is an autopsy. I just, I don't know. That's bad. That's probably a bad analogy, but whatever. It just, I heard it somewhere. You at home, you can put comments out there.
I just think there's gotta be other organizations, like other
Yeah.
school
We're not
districts that
alone.
feel this.
We are, this is not a central issue, but we are in charge of central.
Well, is there anything to account, and maybe this isn't a high amount of kids, but that test takers, test anxiety? I mean,
All of the above.
and I would imagine that comes into play with FastBridge also. Right. Maybe not.
I would say probably not as much, but when you're sitting in front of a thing that, an assessment that has 5 sections and, well, should still call here, that has 5 sections that they have 30 questions each. Maybe that's a little exaggeration, but pretty close. Yeah. So,
The market share,
mhm,
we talked just about 5. So what is the average? I know there are some districts where, yes, they retain,
mhm,
but
85%.
what is the normal?
I would say what we have on here, like, look, you were-
Like, what is the,
okay, so you just asked 2 different
Yeah.
questions. You asked what is
What is-
around us?
because I know that most districts do not capture.
No, I don't know if there's a district that catches.
Super high,
that
like
cap-
90% would be tough, wouldn't it?
I'm sure, 90% would be very
Right,
difficult.
so like 80, but I was just wondering, what is the average capture rate in our area?
I can't answer that right now, but I can get that data for you very easily.
I'll just be
So,
curious as to.
I feel like I've shared it with you.
Ones that have like the same private schools that
Mhm.
probably draw.
Yeah,
so
what is,
Like, so it's not.
Is it like low 70s?
Yeah, so I would say.
High 70s,
Yeah,
low 80s.
mid-
so then
mid-
it's just
mid-
skewed
mid-
a little bit
Uh,
for what we could achieve. I guess that's kind of where.
It could be, but I think
that was my
we are,
question.
I think we really, if we start capturing 70% or more of our students, there's a whole bunch of central specific issues that get easier and better in terms of, just financially and class sizes and sections and all of that. Just get. it
So
just gets better.
should it be shifted then?
I would recommend shifting it.
No.
Okay.
I would say this, we are aiming for a high capture rate. I think, so I can get that data for you and I'll have it to you. I'll send it to the board. But I think there's 2 things that I would recommend capturing, like what is the capture rate of the districts or surrounding districts? And what is the capture rate of some districts that have a robust charter school within their boundaries? Because I think that, I mean, let's call spade a spade, that is what our issue is, one of our issues.
Because it looks like this sheet you gave us was 1 or 2 meetings ago. The closest we were to 70 was back in 2015.
Yeah, yes, yep. And if my memory serves me right, Connor, our low point was 59, correct?
58.
58, that's right. percentage.
I would just be curious, I just wanted to see.
Yeah.
If that
Is there
kind of lines
total
up.
revenue that's now with Gray County? Now that's, okay,
Yeah, so it's, we based it off of conference districts.
so it's pretty good. With that.
Yeah, we were, I mean, there was a time where we were in the intervention. Well,
Well, you look at the Gray County district, that's a lot larger district, a lot larger cities too.
so I just did on the small side of the districts.
Okay.
So I just.
Not Delano.
I did not include, so full disclosure, I did not include Delano, West Tonka, Hutchinson,
Jordan?
and Jordan. Yeah, and Holy Family and Southwest Christian don't have that, so.
So further information you're looking for from us, or just kind of as a discussion, talking point,
I'm glad we.
digest it a little bit.
Mhm. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, yep, if you have questions, shoot them to me and I'll respond to the whole board. But yeah, I'm gonna get that data that you asked for. And I'll send it to
I just
you.
might be
I
information
would
you're
be
curious to
interested
know
in
too.
Yeah.
Say that again.
I just know, I'm glad you brought it up because I think it would be interesting just to see.
Mhm. Okay, any other questions about the vision card?
I guess, do we need to follow up with, are we looking to change the vision card moving forward? Or were we just kind of discussing
Results.
that it's better, that we feel that our students are achieving better than what that picture looks? Or like, is there a follow-up to the discussion we were going in?
I was not recommending that we change anything.
With an election year, I wouldn't change anything.
But
For now.
yeah, but I do think we need to, I want to have the leadership team looking, and we're talking about this. And this is, I guess that's just my point.
Sounds like we're.
It's an area of frustration. It's an area of frustration for us.
Yeah.
D4, 2025, 20, well, I'm gonna start over. D4, 2025, 26 calendar revision, 2026, 27 calendar draft.
All right, Mr. Larson, can you please start on 25, 26? So this calendar is the exact same calendar that you approved last year, with the exception of we added conferences, the conference dates on here. So we added conference dates in November and conference dates in February, met with CBA. We agreed on these dates, and I don't anticipate that there would be a lot of discussion about this calendar because this is something that's been out there for 2 years. Okay, so the cadence of this year is I'm bringing these to you in October, and then this is going to come back for final approval in December. So you're not going to see it next month. You're going to see it in December again. Mr. Larson, if you could go to the 26, 27 tentative calendar. This is brand new. So I'm going to just kind of go through beginning of the year to the end of the year. Sorry for the dog. We'll, as typical per usual, we'll have 4 days of teacher workshop before Labor Day. Labor Day is on September 7th in 26, 27. And we would start our first day of K-12 on September 8th and our first day of pre-K the following Monday. In October, we have a MEA fall recess, and then we would have our first early release end of Q1 with a staff development day, just like we do this coming weekend. And then the 3 days off in November. November 25th is a teacher comp day. Here, in order to kind of get everything to fit, the recommendation is to go through December 23rd, to have a 3-day week there on that Christmas week. And then we do not come back to school until January 4th. So there is like a week and a half off there. Staff development on MLK Day, end of the quarter on the 22nd. President's Day is no school for staff or students. And then we looked at several options for spring break, but had it at the second to the last week in March. March there with a staff development day, the Monday after spring break. So actually kids would get out, a half a day on the 19th and then would not come back to school until the 30th. We just, typically we have a staff development day, attached to the end of the quarter. To make sure our student and staff days aligned, the April 23rd is just an off day for staff and students. And then on this one, we would graduation will be on the 20th, which is the Friday before. That is our initial spot. So why is it set up the way that it is? We have some off days, specifically February 15th, March 29th, and April 23rd later in the calendar. And that is specifically designed that way, not because we wanted to have less days in the spring, but if we do have polar vortexes and of that ilk, that gives us days later in the calendar to potentially bring students and staff back, so we do not have to go extended days past the 20.
Does break up some pretty long months too.
It does. So I know that's the first time you're looking at it, but I am open to feedback or discussion that you have about the 26, 27 calendar.
And the student contact days are
Yep,
very similar.
they're the same. So those are,
Between semesters.
Yep.
Okay.
yes.
How many schools start before Labor Day, do you think?
I know I know Waconia does, many years, but they have, so there's a threshold that you have to meet for construction, and based on their LTFM revenue, they're able to meet that. And then there's a consortium of districts in Southwest Minnesota, kind of down by Marshall area, that they're able to do that. I am 100% open to starting before Labor Day. I know there has been some legislation in the past to repeal that, like where districts can just decide it. I think like there's certain districts, for example, Roseville, because the state fair will never ever in a million years start before Labor Day because their parking lots are all filled up from state fair traffic. I would say we have a high amount of users through FFA that goes to the state fair potentially, county fair for sure, state fair potentially. I would say if we decided to move in that direction, I would just work with those families and kids. So that way, they wouldn't be penalized about that. But September 8th is a later Labor Day for sure.
And Memorial Day is the 31st.
Yeah.
So.
So in that case, so you're absolutely right, Sarah. So because of Memorial Day being as late as the latest that it possibly could be, this calendar actually works out pretty decently. But if we would have had like this year, or if it's this year, like because of the way that Labor Day lands, where honestly where Christmas lands and where Memorial Day lands, we have to come back after, like there's no way around it. So again, always open. I just want, if there are parameters that the board wants me to look at, I think you all need to discuss that as the seven of you, and I'll build something to work within those parameters.
Has
Yeah, just
CEA,
one thing I would say is with the snow days, on average, we use snow days, right? So then if they have to use the April 23rd, maybe March 29th,
Yep.
that's a long time, then we'd have more days potentially if we get started earlier to play with that.
Oh, I do. Well, I mean, to your point there, Josh, is if we started early, we would probably end earlier too. Because because we're bound by days in the contract, all of this, let me ask this a different way. Is the board interested? I want to say in my second year, I did a parent survey around, it was pretty long. It's like 30 some odd questions. It was like, what holidays do you celebrate as a family? What are your non-negotiables like? And from that survey, two things came out. It was almost, I don't say it's unanimous, but it was like 90% of families said we want a spring break. And what was the other thing? It was spring break and start after Labor Day. I think it was the other.
being done by.
Or maybe it was on the other end. But if you're interested, I can absolutely dig that survey out and send it to our families. Hey, we're in calendar development. We're looking for some feedback again. It has been about 4 years.
I don't think, yeah, I would strongly recommend that, just because why not let
So
the
it's
parents
pre-COVID.
tell us something?
That was absolutely pre-COVID.
It's probably time to just take a look at it again then. I
Okay.
mean, so many things have changed.
The CEA has not seen this, or they have seen
Yeah.
it, and they don't mind those 3 days of,
Yeah, when you said we, that was their.
That was their, so I brought several drafts to them and their recommendation was to go to the 23rd and basically it's that April 23rd date could be moved anywhere. Or the February 15th date could be moved anywhere in the calendar. And I think the discussion was having a 3-day week having 3-day weeks is more preferred.
Is what,
More preferred.
than a 2-day?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
In terms of student achievement, kids getting in the routine, et cetera.
How many days do we have to kind of work with?
There's a
We did have a snow outing.
So we have 2 days to work with. So the first day is just a regular, good old fashioned snow day. Then we get 5 days
Right.
of e-learning. And then we could have 2 other days.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we have 2 days.
Yeah.
Right, where
Of
of cushion, in case we do have a really bad winter, cold snap, et cetera.
But what that would be is 8 total days.
6, 7, 8.
And that's, then, I mean, it was we have 167, 165 is the minimum.
If you, it's hours, but that is about,
Okay.
yeah, yes.
I mean, personally, I don't think it makes sense if we try to start before Labor Day, graduation up to the 21st of May. I think it looks pretty good the way
Yes,
it's set.
I think the
personally.
26, 27 calendar plays out okay. It's like maybe the one that should have had the conversation
Yeah.
was 25, 26.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely always, you can always find out where families are at, but agreed, yeah.
So,
But I think it's still be good to do a survey.
okay, so
I agree.
I'm
I
hearing,
agree with
I'm
that.
hearing.
This one was
um,
really nice.
Yep, okay,
This
so
one works.
what I'll
But the
do,
years can be up that this
Yeah.
will work is.
what I'll do is I'll update the survey. I will send it to the board as just a PDF. And if you can just respond, hey, looks good, or consider this, that way.
And what will come on the next agenda will be the 25, 26 final, correct?
No, both of these.
Both of.
So it'll be, this
will
will
be
be
final.
final, and this
This
one
will be
will not
Not
have,
be final.
yeah, this one will
because-
not have conference days or anything like that.
Correct,
I
so
think
the 25, 26 will be finalized, that will be tentative.
tentative, but I think the hope when we went to this 2-year cycle is that you're not moving around spring break or winter
Yes.
break. I think the
It's gonna
idea
happen.
behind it is that families would be able to know when spring break, when the start of school is, when the end of school is, when spring break is, winter break.
I think that kind of makes it a good year to do a survey because this calendar is so pretty. Like
Yeah.
you can just kind of, so we kind of know for the next year
Got
going
it.
forward.
All right. Discussion?
Something else about calendar?
Question. 167 days.
Mhm.
Does that give us cushion as well? I
Um,
mean, so where I'm getting at is, let's say it's the February board meeting of 2027, right? We've had a bad winter, right? And we're anticipating, running out of days. Can we adjust the school day, the number of hours or minutes to then make sure we're meeting the statutory requirements?
We could, I mean, how you do that would be up to you, and just like when we talked about this with, the construction piece, my recommendation would be to add full days, because that is what's best for us.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Yes, so-
This is worst case scenario
Yes.
where
Yeah,
we run out of the.
because the 2 days, yes, because if we run out of the 2 days, it's not e-learning days. It is, you have off. It is, the 2 days would be like day number 1, where the teachers have that off, where contractually, they have that day off, I can contractually have them make that up to the 167, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That has been agreed to with CEA. Actually, ever since we put it on the face.
Worst case winter, we still have some things in our pocket we can try to make up time or make up hours, minutes, et cetera.
I think we can easily get, depending on when the days happen, I think it's reasonable to think that we can get to 10 days. Counting April 23rd and March 29th. The polar vortex, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be happening.
The snow will come in March and April.
Slave plans.
And December.
Okay, I'll get that survey together. I'll get it out to you.
Anything else on that one? Okay, we'll move on to D5.
D5, board orientation plan draft.
Okay, so, this is, I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this, but, when I said I went to the the superintendent's conference and had some learning, I went to a session with Elk River School Board, Elk River Superintendent and his cabinet. And they just talked about, their board orientation. He shared this. So full disclosure, I'm still in this from another school district, but I felt like it could fit us. And again, full disclosure also, like we have two elections worth of school board members on the school board sitting here right now. And I think the orientation that Shelby, Sarah, Kyle, and Sarah received that was in person down in St. Peter was just different than what Josh, Connor, and Emily got. I mean, you don't know any different, but I'm just telling you, it was
COVID.
because they just didn't do that. And what I'm wondering is having a set protocol, like these are, so specifically, I want to go down to page 5, 6, and it says mentor-mentee meetings. Where it says December of 24, January of 25, February of 25, and so on and so forth, where we have, our new board members will get connected with a mentee-mentor relationship with a board member. They will meet with me. We would talk about the things that I'm putting out here, just to shepherd people along, in particular that first year, because like I'm not going to name people on the board here that are sitting here, but I've had private conversations with all of you, and some of you have said, like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, in the first meeting. We get that first meeting, and I mean, you're for the most part volunteer board members that are serving your community, and we are at least going to have one more new board member here, and I'm just wondering how we could support that person, whomever it is, to be the most prepared, best board member that they possibly can be. And I don't know, I just would like your thoughts on this. And if you scroll down even further to the bottom where it says year 1, year 2, year 3, it's not just, hey, we do this year 1, but maybe there's some ongoing development where people feel supported and feel equipped to handle what bird is getting thrown at.
How are they doing it? Are they gonna do it online again, or are they?
I have no idea right now. Honestly, I looked at it because I put the dates in here, but I didn't look at this on the right person. But I would imagine, I think MSBA has gotten some feedback that they prefer the pieces down in St. Peter. And then they do this little travel, they do a traveling show around the state to try and kind of hit everybody. But I don't know if this is something this board is interested in, and I'm not trying to have you make more work for future board members. But I also think this, like, having a standard of this is what gets talked about for onboarding. I personally don't think it's a bad thing. But I would be interested in having you look at this and give feedback. so that we could adjust it. And then what I would like is to maybe talk about this again in December.
I feel like when I started, I kind of made Nicole my mentor without it even.
Congratulations.
Been nominated.
Cause I asked her questions all the time, so, yeah, something.
I know you brought this up to Shelby now, and we were talking about the agenda development, and I think this is a good start. And everybody have the same consistent information, and we can look at how to get this into play and maybe how to phase it in where it's not 1,000 meetings you're doing, but it's a small 45-minute workshop before a board meeting or something, a work session or something. So we can digest, everybody can go in and digest this a little bit and just give you some feedback on that.
Yeah, I would welcome it.
Any other conversation? No, I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
Did they go back to the in-person?
Agreed.
There was a lot of value to that. Yeah.
That was a nice.
I mean, and again, I don't want to belabor it for the three of you, but it's like we got in groups with other school districts, and so we were like kind of bouncing things off. I mean, some of us were like, "Ooh, I don't know on that." You know, it's just like, you know, it's like, sorry, I probably should have said that. But it was good. It was helpful that that we weren't alone in some of the anxiety of taking on this new adventure. I'm sorry.
No, I just think it would have been helpful even if it wasn't in person or whatever, like just to have like the other board members that you were new with. Like I know like Josh and I were texting each other during it because it was all online, but I think like we had just like the three of us even been in a room together doing it, watching it virtually would have been better than what we did do. Cause it was not, you couldn't ask what, like you just, they did the best they could under the circumstances being it was COVID. Totally understand, but.
And I know it was worth, I had gone once before, then I went again when like Shelby, Kyle, and Sarah got on, and that was very helpful to go to phase 1, phase 2 in person again.
With experience.
With experience, you're like, aha,
Here's what they're saying, and here's an example of how that plays out.
That's when this happened for us.
Yeah.
And Nicole went with us too.
And Rich.
And Rich was there.
Oh, it was the one.
Yeah, it was nice. Enjoyed that.
D6, first reading of policies.
Nothing to talk about here. Just this is our first reading. Again, procedure is first reading 1 month, second reading the following month. I didn't link in every single policy here. Just the link to where they are on our website. Nothing to say other than every 3 years, I want to make sure that we're looking at policies. These will probably not change even one bit. Like we're not changing the code of ethics, but I want to be able to say, hey, we've got this within the last 3 years.
The operational items. Oh, I lost it. I'm really struggling today. Consideration of the November board meeting dates.
Okay, we have an election. In case you didn't know, we have an election coming up in how many days? 7 days, 8 days. And by law, we need to canvass our election results at least 7 calendar days by after the election. So I'm not trying to poo-poo this. This is a formality. I mean, the public can come and watch this, but literally I'm reading the results off of the tape that comes out of the voting machine. And then you all, at least 4 board members that are there can observe them. And then you will vote to accept those results. And then I send the meeting, the canvassing results to Carver County Elections. And that's actually what makes the vote official, even though on the night of the election, we'll be posting unofficial results. So I need 4 of you there.
And you need, you would probably need about 2 days to make sure you get everything from the counties back, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So you're looking at this, would the 7th be too early? That's the Thursday.
No, that's not too early.
Okay, so you're looking at the 7th or 8th, or really
Just something to keep in mind, because fingers crossed, football possibly could be quarterfinal game, could be on the 7th or 8th.
We could do a morning.
So that was my point, is just consider,
We could do like a 7 to 7.
we can do a 7 to
7:30
7, yep, we could do 7 to 7. I need to double check if there's laws on how early it can be. I mean, obviously you wouldn't logistically have something at 5 AM. It should be accessible to people. I want to find out if it has to be between 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or something like that, but if it can be at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, I would recommend that. I can double check. I'll double check with Carver County. I mean, so those games will be in the evening. So
Yeah.
if we did like a 5 o'clock, that would be
Even,
fine.
yeah, did an earlier evening one.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Say that against her.
4:30 or something.
Yeah. So can we shoot for the 7th? Is that okay?
7th, do we want to see, would we have 4 that could come in the morning? If we want to do morning, and at least 4 that could come in the evening?
Yeah.
We can't do.
Yep.
I could do either one.
I could do either one.
I can do either.
Either. There we go. We got 4.
Need 4. But if we had 5, there's an extra buffer.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay, so we had 5, yeah. You can only
Okay,
do the
evening, okay.
Yep.
Well, 7 in the morning was, you're on.
Oh,
Good calls. Okay, well, we've got 4 and 4 and, well, 5.5, because Emily said she could. So let's please pencil in on your calendar that the canvassing meeting is gonna be, let's just say 7:30 at 7:30 on the 7th.
7th district office.
District
Do it
office,
in
yeah.
that
We'll do it
conference
in the conference room there. And I'll post that, because I think we have to have at least 3 days posting that's what's gonna be. Again, public income, I've never had anyone, actually, I take that back. I think you did. Did you come when you got elected
Yeah, I think
to the
Connor
canvassing
was
meeting?
there.
Yeah. Connor is the only person that has come to a canvassing meeting.
It's riveting.
It is.
Like that.
I love that.
Whole
Riveting.
5 minutes.
Whole 5, it literally lasts 5 minutes.
So
So
it is locked in 7, on the 7th, 7:30.
7
Yeah.
a.m.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I can do
So,
that.
well, I will email you all if for some reason Carver County election says you can't have it that early. I don't think that's the case, but let's.
Do we have at least 4 that could do it if you need to do 4:30 that day? 4:30? Josh is like,
Yeah.
I could make it work.
I could do either, yeah.
I could do
Either?
either. So
Either?
if that is a
There we
no-go,
go. So
Then-
it's gonna be on the 7th, either in the morning or the afternoon.
just send us a meeting request with
Perfect.
what actually it is.
Yep, I
How's
will.
that sound? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to last and final. Our next board meeting is November 25th. Yes, that is the week of Thanksgiving. Not ideal. You will not be with us, but we will maybe have Rich as our,
No, he's already
That
got it
guy?
on his calendar.
all
Yep,
right.
he's excited.
Going to the bullpen. Going to
6 o'clock here. Anything else before we make the motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, my gosh. Motion made by Harrison, second by Smith. Any other conversations? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? You're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.